Hello, crafty friends, and thank you for joining me today. I have a thank you card to share with you, but this card could easily be changed for any occasion, like congrats or birthday. There are lots of details to share, so let's get started. The main part of this card is a mashup between the coffee cup pop-up and the ice cream sundae pop-up, both by Karen Berniston. I used a few other dies along the way, like the Your Sweet for the inside of the card. I'm going to start by using only the napkin from the coffee cup set. And you need 2 of these. The die set makes this fabulous texture on the edge of the napkin. It looks like a real napkin. I hope you can see it here. If you've never embossed using a die, I'm going to show you how to do it. First, you need to open up your platform with the first tab open, just like any embossing folder. Then you're going to use a clear plate. I used a brand new one here. Then you're going to keep the paper in the die and lay it down on the plate. You're going to cover it with a rubber mat. Some of them are tan. Mine happens to be black. Next comes the impression plate, and then you're going to put it through your machine and roll it right through. I made one small modification to the napkin by taking off 1/8 of an inch on the side that goes in the crease of the card. I did this to both pieces because the sundae is a little smaller than the coffee cup. This way the sundae will stand up a little straighter by taking that 1/4 inch out of the middle. Because the sundae doesn't have tabs, I made my own and tapered them at one end. I've already cut my sundae cup out of reflective material because I wanted it to appear like glass. Then I added my tabs to the backs. I cut 2 more bowls from white. You'll see why in a little bit. Next, I cut out my scoops of ice cream. I used glitter paper for this. That gives them that little extra sparkle. I have a vanilla, chocolate, and a strawberry scoop. And then using plain paper, I cut out another scoop of each color. And of course, the whipped cream. I've gone ahead and assembled the top of my sundae with a cherry on the top. For that, I used Nouveau drops. I'm going to start assembling the rest of my sundae by gluing the chocolate and vanilla piece together, overlapping just a little. I want some of the ice cream to be hanging over the edge of the bowl. So when I get ready to glue these 2 pieces on, I'm going to start rather in the middle. You'll see why in just a second. I'm going to add the ice cream to the bowl. Now you see why I put the glue where I did. It's just enough to hold it in place with a little bit hanging off the edge. Now get rid of that excess glue. We're good to go. Next, I'm going to add the previously assembled layer with the chocolate syrup and that yummy whipped cream. With that all in place, I want to make a mirror image of what you're seeing here. To do that, I've added glue to the top side of my chocolate scoop, and I'm going to lay it right on top of the other one. I'm not gluing this part to the bottom part. I'm just using it as a guideline to make a mirror image. I'm going to continue doing this until I have each layer in place, gluing them to each other, not to the bottom layer. Now that I have all my ice cream scoops glued together, I'm going to turn over the original piece and match them up on the back side. Remember, I'm not gluing them to the front panel. I'm simply gluing them to each other. Now I want to add the bowl, lining everything up. But as you'll see in a second, we have 2 separate pieces. Oops, I almost forgot that pesky whipped cream, so I'm going to add that now. I'm only gluing it to the other ice cream scoop, not to the front panel at this time. Okay, with that finished, you'll see that we have 2 separate panels, one for the front and one for the back. So now I'm ready to add the sundae to the napkin. The die already makes the opening for the tab, so I'm simply going to insert the one panel into that tab. As you can see, my tab is way too long, but I'll show you what I'm going to do about that. I'm going to position my sundae so that it appears to be sitting on the napkin. Then I'm just simply going to bend that tab back so that it stands upright. Now that I know how much of a tab I need, I'm simply going to cut off the excess amount. The next step is simply to add some glue to the bottom of that tab and stick it to the napkin portion. I'm going to do the same thing to both sides with a little video speed up. So now I'm ready to add my sundae to the card base. I have a 5.5-inch square card, which means that I cut it 5.5 by 11 with a crease down the center. Now I'm going to take the napkin on the straight side and I'm going to glue it in the crease of the card. Not in the crease, but right next to the crease. This way you don't have a lot of extra paper getting in the way when you want to close and open the card. I now have my front section in place. Adding glue once again to the napkin, I'm going to put the straight edge against the fold of the card, matching up the edges. You'll see a tiny space between the two pieces. That makes the card operate more smoothly. With those two pieces firmly in place, you'll see next why I decided to cut 2 extra bowls from plain white paper. In this case, neatness counts, and I didn't want the tabs to show from the inside of the card. I'm placing these plain white pieces over the bowl section on the inside of the card. That way, when it's open, you'll never see that tab that's been glued on. I did this to both sides, once again with a little speed up. With that all in place, I'm simply going to add a small dot of glue at the very top of the whipped cream portion. Then I'm going to stick the two sides together. In this case, less glue is more. You just want a tiny bit. Once the glue is set, I have an operational card which will open and close, and the sundae will pop up in the center. To finish off the inside of the card, I used this oval crosshatch die set. I used 2 different dies from this set. The larger one with the crosshatch in the pink and a smaller one that I'm going to place in the center, and then I'm going to place my Your Sweet right on there. After adding glue, I layered the 2 panels together. I've cut out Your Sweet from the same color that I used for the chocolate syrup. I'm going to add a little glue. I'm going to layer it on my oval panels. With that done, I'm simply going to add it to the inside of my card. Now that the panel has been added, I can finish it off with the final touch, which is this cute little spoon that's included in the sundae die. For the front of the card, I'm going to use the square crosshatch. I used the largest one in the die set to cut the pink panel. And for the white panel, I used the next size smaller and cut a white panel. Next, I used the thank you die, again in the same color as the chocolate syrup. Using the same glitter paper, I cut an extra scoop of ice cream for the front of the card and an ice cream cone. After layering the panels, I decided that a pink bow would be in order. I'm really poor at bow making, so I used a bow maker for this. Once a bow was made, I added a glue dot with my tweezers to the very center of the white panel near the bottom. I placed the center of the bow directly on the glue dot and gave it a good press. I took the ends of the ribbon and wrapped it around the panel and scotch taped it on the back. With the ribbon in place, it was time to add the thank you greeting. I simply put a few dots of glue on the back and then placed it on my card front. With that all in place, it was time to add the ice cream cone. I simply added a little glue to the back of the cone and put it on the front of my card with the tip just under the ribbon. With the cone in place, it's time for that strawberry ice cream. With that all done, it's time to add the panel to the front of my card. I wanted to make sure that I put the panel on the front. All of us card makers know that in the excitement to finish the card, sometimes the panels can be placed on the wrong side. So it's always good to do a double check before placing your panel down. Okay, my friends, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this mashup of the two different die sets. If you like this video, I'd really love it if you'd give me a like. And of course, I would want you to subscribe to my channel. That's it for now. Until next time, bye-bye.